you hear that? That's the sound of my homestead beginning. Allow me to introduce to you Chickalis Cage. She is quite the loud one here. What? She just wants to be with the rest of her friends. Betty White, Jack Black, and Chickenlee. They're very little, I know. We don't keep them in there. Alex is cleaning out the little bin that we have them in with the heat lamp. Totally fine. They're just getting a little grounding happening. But today is all about setting up my homestead. Yep, I've been talking about it for a really long time. It's like Homestead 101, very beginner. Stuff that I see other people do where I'm like, oh, I should start doing that. You know, just to be a little more self-reliant and self-sufficient and a little more fun. I made a list, of course. There are a few things that homesteaders seem to check off their list. One is bulk food storage, which I kind of have, but I need to bulk that up. So that's on my to-do list today. I'm gonna run to Costco and get all of the bulk items to help sustain us if something were to happen. Sourdough starter, I have a few recipes to share with you, maybe a couple, I don't know, we'll see. Fruit trees, of course. A garden, we'll get there. I will garden one thing today, the potatoes. We'll see how that works out. Seems really simple, that's how I'm starting. Like ground zero, simple, basic, things that I can do without royally screwing it up, so fingers crossed. Then I've noticed there are just some things that homesteaders have that I'm like, oh, I don't have that, so maybe I should get that, like a cast iron skillet. So I'll go over it all, and then of course the chickens. We're starting here. So of course if you get chickens, you need a coop, and so we found a home for our little chickens. Well, first of all, we built it. Isn't that the saying, build it and they will come? And they sure did, just out of thin air. I'd been looking for a coop forever. When we moved into this house, I thought, we have a ton of property, we need to take advantage of it. So this has been a dream, like a long time coming. We had chickens at our old house for like a year and a half and always enjoyed it. And the kids have always asked for more chickens. Well, first of all, the kids always want a pet. And this is the perfect pet. They love on the chickens, but then chickens also give me something in return, so it's like the perfect swap there. Eggs are the perfect food, high in protein and delicious. So the coop, take a look at her. First of all, the color, amazing, beautiful. We found it actually on Facebook Marketplace. It's custom made. He just sells them. I love the sign up here too. I mean, so perfect. We've been looking for one for a really long time, and I was looking at like Tractor Supply or Amazon. First of all, they're really expensive, and obviously custom built one is really expensive too, but surprisingly not as expensive, especially for the size that you get. And this is where you get the eggs in the back here. And obviously it's not set up for anything yet because the chickens are still too little. But anyway, love to support local. And we got the chickens from a local feed store, so that's really nice. Most of the local feed stores don't have chickens this time of year because of the weather. So they normally get their last batch in like October, but I think this one breeds them like locally. And we actually, I'm surprised to see them grow so much. It's actually been a week since I took footage of the chickens last. We've had them for, I don't know, at least 2-3 weeks now, and they grew really fast.
Aren't they adorable? They are 2 weeks, by the way. As I filmed this, I said I wasn't sure if they were 2 or 3 weeks. They're 2 weeks, and they grow so fast. They're like little babies to teenagers in a matter of a couple months, and they'll be able to be in a coop after, you know, when they're big enough to handle the weather. Right now, most of the time, they're like under a heat lamp at night and stuff just to keep them warm. But they're so cute. And Alex is like, oh, we should put a live feed on them. Does anyone do that with little chickens? I think that would be so adorable, because even just filming them now, I'm like, oh, they're so cute. And they're just running around, just watching them do whatever the heck they do, you know? And you might notice there's an extra one in this clip. Yeah, that tends to happen, right? And looking at him, I keep calling them boys. They're girls. They're hens. They're going to lay eggs for us. But anyway, I don't think I explained chicken math yet, but stick around and I will. Don't you worry about it. You can tell that's like the runt of the bunch, and something's definitely off with her. At this point, this is when they're babies. I went back in time. I don't even know if you noticed the shift, but they are smaller here, and it's just a couple of days into us having them, and we definitely noticed something was off with her. So it was sad when we discovered her, and then immediately the chicken math kicked in, and I was like, well, time to go get some more. And now I'm wondering, where can I get peacocks? It's a snowball effect. Obviously, I don't want peacocks. They're pretty loud, noisy, and very messy if you are unaware. But chickens, on the other hand, looking up the benefits of chickens, they help eliminate scraps. What? Isn't that awesome? First of all, whenever I'm cutting up fruit and stuff, I always think back to when we had chickens. I'm like, oh man, I wish I'm throwing it away. I obviously don't have a compost. Maybe one day I will. And then also, chickens produce a natural fertilizer. They get rid of pesky garden pests. So when I have a garden, they're going to be a great assistant. And obviously, they produce eggs, free range eggs. Because while we do have a coop, we do intend to obviously let them free range during the day.
This is Betty White. Oh yes, the cutest. The kids picked out the names, by the way. But I think we got everything we need. The cage here, whatever this is called, the coop, has some roosting things. It's got a ramp here. I don't know. And then at the feeder store, we got all of our accoutrements. The feeder, the watering can. I guess this one is not supposed to get algae. It's got a whole thing inside. So a top of the line stuff happening over here. Aren't they so dang cute? I could just squeeze them. But I feel like it's like that with all babies or all little, human babies, puppies, kittens, chickens, little chicks. They're just so darling. And then they grow up and you're like, whatever. We actually have a few neighbors that have chickens across the way, and one of them, well, I mean, they both sell the eggs. They have like a substantial amount of chickens, but we had one neighbor over this weekend and he was talking to us because obviously we had just gotten them, so we were talking about chickens. He asked if we had heard of chicken math, and if you haven't looked it up, if you have chickens or are thinking of getting them, look up chicken math. It's really funny, like just little short videos of people explaining chicken math, and it's like, oh, you go to the feed store to buy some more feed, and then you pick up a couple more chickens because they're like $4, right? $5, $6, depending on the breed, whatever you get. And you're like, oh, just a couple more, grow our hen supply. I don't know what they call it. Grow our coop, grow our family. And then you're like, oh, let me get some peacocks. I don't know what baby peacocks are called, but really cute. And then someone was like, and then one peacock dies because it's cloudy on a Tuesday, which is crazy because that's what happens to chickens too. Sometimes they just pass away. But then in my mind, I'm like, wait, you can buy baby peacocks. What do they look like? And I feel like I need 4 of them because obviously you can't get just one. They need a friend. So the chicken math is already adding up for me. Next thing you know, we're gonna have a goat or a pig or something. I don't know. I gotta get these chickens back in their little bin under the heat lamp where they're nice and cozy, but I do feel like they're enjoying their time down here in the ground. Hello, honeys. Hello, you little chickens. I can only grab one at a time. I tried to put them in my skirt earlier and they just kept trying to fly out.
Come on, try to get 2 at a time. She hit her head. Oh, you got 2 at a time. Congrats. Jackie Black.
I know, he's the one who kept trying to fly off of my dress. Those are best friends.
All right, let's see if you have trouble getting Jackie Black.
It's the biggest. I haven't met Jack Black yet. You want to meet Jack Black? Ah! Hold on, buddy.
It's Jackie Black.
Is it? Ooh, how about Jackie Chan?
Jackie Chick.
Because he keeps trying to do his own stunts. Hi. Okay.
Wow, good job.
Thanks so much. I'm not out of breath at all. All right, next up, sourdough starter is clearly a necessity if you're starting your own homestead, or at least that's what I've seen. I even Googled like, what do you need to have a homestead? It's so funny if you Google it because I'm ignorant. I don't know. I've never done anything like this. I'm starting from scratch. I'm learning from YouTube as we do. And Google was like, you need a rake and like a chainsaw. I was like, no, I'm not at that level yet. Okay, let's dumb it down a bit. So sourdough starter seemed to be a very big proponent. People are out here making their own bread, their own bagels, their own wheat products. And I'm not a pro yet, but I have made a few things, and I feel like if I can do it, shoot, what are you waiting for, right? It does make me feel a little domesticated, and I really like it. At first I was like, oh my gosh, the smell of this is so rancid, I can't. And when I started, it was like wiping out the whole house. But now it's simmered down, it's settled, it's mellowed out, or maybe I've just gotten used to it, when you like smell, but you can't smell your own self. I hope my house doesn't smell like a sourdough starter now, but if it does, that's what homesteading's all about, right? So anyway, I did it the lazy girl way, and I went online and I ordered a sourdough starter. I ordered mine freeze dried. I'll link whatever I got on Amazon, but you can also, I think King Arthur, you can go on their website and order a live sourdough starter, like a liquid one. At least that's what people are sending me and telling me about when I was starting my starter and posting it on Instagram and stuff. But now it's mature because, you know, it only took a couple of days because I got the starter packet. But anyway, I feed it with the King Arthur. It has to be unbleached flour. There's a lot of rules regarding sourdough. Like you can't use your kitchen sink water with it because it might have chemicals in it that will kill it. Well, I do, and that's that. When I started out, I was using water from a bottle, and sometimes I still do that, so maybe that's why it's still alive, because sometimes it does. I also have well water, so maybe that's the difference there. But I do need to feed it, but I wanted to show you what it looks like. A little delicious, jiggly, wet mass in there. Bubbly on the bottom. It's been a day since I've fed it, so I'm gonna use some of the discard. So I made bread yesterday. I'll insert the recipe here at some point, but today I am going to make bagels. And you don't have to make something every day. You can throw it in the fridge and feed it like once a week, but I'm obviously still in the newlywed phase of this and enjoying making stuff. So I've been making something every day, and then when I feel like it, I'll just throw it in the fridge. So I'm not big on measuring stuff, and even still, like, I'll do it by eye and nothing is perfect and it still works out. So if you're worried about that too, a lot of people are like, oh, you have to be perfect with sourdough. Well, let me be a testament. No, you don't. Sometimes I'll eyeball it and then I'll measure it and it'll be almost spot on. So I'm like, why do I even? Anyway, today I'm gonna make bagels, and I normally just Google a recipe. This happens to be from Farmhouse on Boone, and her name's Lisa, and she is the queen of sourdough. So if you're looking for more information, check her out. So it's half a cup of starter, 1 cup of warm water, 2 tablespoons of honey. I do tend to go overboard on this. A little bit of salt. This is my first time making this particular recipe, so I am excited about it. And then 4 cups of the unbleached flour. And then I'm gonna mix it. It's a dough, so this is the first recipe I've used a stand mixer for, but it says the dough's gonna be really firm and to mix it in here for like 10 minutes. There's supposed to be a lot of benefits to sourdough bread, and it's a low and slow process, which like brings you back. It takes a whole day to make a loaf of bread. You have to wait a long time. Does it make the end result taste better, or does the end result just taste good in general? It does taste good. The anticipation builds it up for sure. While that's going, I'm gonna feed the sourdough starter that I have here. So half a cup of flour, and then like a 1/4 cup of water. When I first started, I went to Instagram because I knew something was up. I was making it too watery because the instructions were telling me half a cup of water, half a cup of flour, but it just was not getting enough nutrients from the flour, I guess, the starter. And so now I know better to make it really thick, and then it'll get watery as it's eating, you know? But that's it. That's as easy as it gets. Don't overthink it like I did. Remember when I said it was a slow process? I don't have time for that, so I'm whipping it up. That's about as much as I can take. So I'm gonna let this ferment.
I am woman, hear me roar, in numbers too big to ignore. I don't need no man. I got some muscles. Come on!
With a damp tea towel, just so it doesn't dry out, for 8 hours. I know. Probably overnight. You can probably throw this in your fridge. I don't make the rules. I just, 8 hours. Well, I'll see it again. I'm gonna put it in my oven. Just kidding, it won't fit. I'll put it there. By the way, I was talking to friends who do sourdough. They're like really into sourdough, and they were telling me it's very hard to kill sourdough. There were days where I went without feeding mine and I thought for sure like it's gone. No, it came back to life. It's really hard to kill it. Anyone will tell you that. So if you are feeling discouraged on that end, there you go. So I didn't get to finishing these yesterday, last night. 12 hours, 24 hours. I mean, it's just the day got away from us, obviously. After school, we had a soccer game to go to, and then it was dinner and all that. This dough is looking real nice since it's been sitting for so long. I didn't even put it in the fridge. I'm sure it'll be fine. It'll be fine. A little extra time to ferment and all that stuff. Might be a little crusty on top. Towel's not as damp as it once was. But essentially, All I'm going to do, give it a knead, and then I'm going to portion it out into 8 equal parts. So we're gonna make 8 donuts. The dough feels really nice. I'm just gonna roll it into a ball, use the countertop to kind of stabilize, and I'm just like cupping my hand over the dough and rolling it. And then I guess an easy way to make a donut is just force your finger through. Oh, not a donut, a bagel, you know what I'm talking about. And then just, I'm gonna put this onto a platter and just let them rise for another few hours. My beauties have been resting in the oven with the light on. Later in the video, you'll hear me say, oh, why do they need the light on? Need a little night light? No, man. The light provides a little bit of heat. So this is like no time at all. I don't even know if it's been an hour, but I'm ready for some bagels and we're gonna do this. I'm setting my oven to 425 and I'm going to fill a pot of water because we're gonna boil the bagels. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of brown sugar and 1 tablespoon of baking soda. Once the water comes to a rolling boil, I'm gonna drop in a couple of bagels. I could probably do 4 at a time. Got a pretty big pot here. I'm basically a New York bagel shop. It kind of looks like oil because of the brown sugar, but it's not. I don't really know. After a couple minutes, I'm gonna flip it over, let the other side boil for a couple minutes. I guess I should reference the recipe, but have we met? These look nice and fluffy and puffy. So I'm gonna take a slotted spoon and transfer them just to a towel. And then I'm gonna repeat the process. So once all the bagels are cooked, I'm just going to take a little bit of egg wash, which is just egg and a little bit of water, and I'm gonna dab it on top. I don't really know. The recipe said to do something. And then this is, I'm sure, where you can put the toppings on. Cinnamon, sugar, everything but the bagel seasoning, sesame seeds, poppy seeds. The world is your oyster. I just really like plain bagels, and I think my kids will like it too. The egg wash is just gonna really make them glisten and shine when they're cooked in the oven for 20 minutes, 425 degrees. Oh my word, look at these beauties, fresh out of the oven. And I feel like I let them cook a little too long. Ooh, I think they're actually perfection. I mean, what? Who sells bagels? So my bread knife, my good bread knife is dirty and I'm too lazy to wash it. Ooh, a little crust on the outside. Oh my heck, just stop. Oh, that is a good bagel. Can you see the steam popping out of this? I need to get some butter. This is great. So the next part of homesteading I thought would be an important addition to add to our homesteading repertoire is a cast iron skillet. I found this one at the thrift store. You guys know I've been on the lookout for cast iron skillets. They seem to always be at the thrift store, but I always overlook them. So I took a couple trips, found this one. It's not the biggest thing. It's probably a lot smaller than what I was hoping to. It's 10 inches. And by 10, I mean the inside is 9. I have a large family. This will suffice, kind of, not really. So I figured it was good enough. I snagged this from the thrift store for, I wanna say, I think $10, maybe $5 if it was half off, I doubt it was. But it's a good way to find cast iron skillets because they can be really pricey. Ergo, I said that's not big enough and I'm done looking. I've been looking for a long time for cast iron skillies. I found this one on Amazon, which is comically large. It's 17 inches, so the listing said. I had no idea it was going to be, yeah, it's not even 17 inches, but that's funny. Maybe my tape measure is wrong, but this is like ridiculous. It's huge, it's got a nice tall side, which I really like, and obviously a very large surface area in between. This is the biggest thing. I don't even know where to store it because it's so large. But there are so many benefits to cooking with cast iron. One of my friends, she's across the way, and they are like, I mean, they have a whole property full of stuff. She has been motivating me for years to start, you know, making little changes because you don't have to do it all at once. You can do a little bit at a time. That's what they did. And watching them grow over the past few years has been really interesting to watch. Anyway, I got her a cast iron skillet. I bought it brand new. It's like I can buy things brand new for other people, but when it comes to myself, I'm like, I don't know. Let me spend 2 years looking for a cast iron skillet. She was talking about wanting one because there are so many benefits to it. Apparently, if you cook with it, it like keeps the iron more in the food. It is naturally non-stick, non-toxic. I mean, really, what more do you need, but there are more benefits. Let me look them up. Oh, it's full of character. That's what Google says. Full of character. That's all you need. Long lasting, reliable. And I guess you're not really supposed to wash it. I don't know. Again, all the little rules, I don't really follow them. I still like wipe mine down and make sure there's no gunk in it. Yeah, you use less oil, avoid harmful chemicals, and get a little extra iron in your diet. It's very minimal. It's not a big deal. But hey, who couldn't use more iron in their diet? So I was excited to find that. Also, I just leave it on my stovetop because it is so large. I gotta find a spot for it.
These cast iron skillets also hold heat really well. When I cook now, I cook on like super low and the pan gets so hot. I'm like, how is this even possible? It's awesome. The girls and I took a trip to Home Depot to grab some fruit trees. Stuck in the aisles, trying to decide what is best. I don't know. When we planted the starfruit tree, we had some kind of mulch on top. We also used some, like maybe peat moss or something. I don't know. We had our friend helping us, so I'm having Alex text him to see what we need because I'm definitely overwhelmed here and I'm sweating. I think I did my best. I don't know. I grabbed some topsoil, some in-ground soil, some tree. Is this good enough? No, but it's a start. Since the place I just went to doesn't have the fruit trees that I was wanting, there is one place that does, but it's like 40 minutes away. I don't want to drive there, and we've been trying to set something up. It's by appointment only. We've been trying to set something up for like 3 weeks, and I'm over it. So I came to my local farmer's market, and I have to come here because I'm going to grow them myself is what I'm trying to say. I'm gonna grab some mangoes and grow from seed. I've done that before, not successfully, but we're in a new era. And then also avocados, which I've also done before, but not successful. I mean, I've grown them. They've never developed any fruit. Oh gosh, wait, you have to graft avocados. I've gotten like 3 grafted avocado trees in my lifetime and they've died every time. So I guess we'll wait 10 years. Whatever. I'm doing it. I'm here. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to hop inside and see what else I can grow from seed. We'll figure it out. I didn't finish my thought process. The reason why you have to buy local is because when fruits and vegetables are shipped from out of state, they zap them with some kind of like chemical, which means you can't like regrow from seed. They won't produce fruit. Tip. Check out this Honeycrisp apple. It's as big as Eleanor's head. That is a full meal. That's wild and crazy. One of the best parts of farmers market stands is that you get boiled peanuts. If you've never had a boiled peanut, I'm not sure you're living life to the fullest.
Since we're outside, I'll show you the fruit trees. So I ran to Home Depot and I really stocked up. I got some citrus trees that I couldn't find from a local nursery. So I went to Home Depot for a few of them, and then Alex this morning ran to the local gardener, I guess, where they sell grafted trees. And I was like, this is perfect. It's where we found him on Facebook. A lot of people promote on Facebook, which is really nice. And it wasn't that far out of the way, so that's good too. We won on all accounts. And so I got a mango tree and then an avocado tree here. I have to tie this one back up to the post here because it looks like it's a little sad. But then we also got a lime, a citrus, what is this, mandarin orange, and then a lemon. You guys know I love to cook with fresh citrus. And then I saw a banana tree and I was like, all right, let's do it. So the thing with trees and me is that I've gotten a few in the past. Alex actually got some for me. It's a sad story. For Mother's Day, and I was like, this is the best. I love this. Thank you so much. This is amazing. And so I didn't put them in the ground yet. First of all, let me start this story by telling you, short story long, I got a starfruit tree and I got it from a local gardener and he grafts them, by the way. These are grafted, so they're gonna produce fruit a lot faster than if you were to start from seed. I digress. Starfruit we have, I finally planted it in the back. It's actually thriving. 2 thumbs up for that. But the plants that Alex got me for Mother's Day, a little different story. They kind of died. I was trying to find a good spot to put them and I was like, oh, maybe over here. Obviously this is not where it was. I just kind of moved them because they were dying and I was like, oh, I gotta get them out of the way. Anyway, I had them around this area. I was like, this is a nice open area. They're gonna get a lot of sun here, a lot of rain. And so I just put them in the area to see if they would thrive or not. Well, wouldn't you know it, they didn't thrive at all, not in the least bit, and it's my fault. I should have put them in the ground. One of the reasons why they didn't thrive is because they were stuck in the pots and they couldn't like grow. And second, I think I picked a very bad spot for them. Too much sun. You know, they say full sun. It doesn't mean the same thing in Florida. Full sun is a whole different experience. And I know you can look online like and find out where you live and what gardening zone you're in, whatever. Yeah, even then I'm like, you still need to find like a little bit of shade for them so where it's not sun beating on it all the time. And then obviously you have to water them, two things I'm not great at. So the challenge for me this time around is one, actually getting them in the ground, and I have a plan. I got the soil, I got the topsoil. My friend has the mulch actually because the friend who helped us plant the starfruit tree, he was like, I've got the mulch, don't worry. So Wentworth, when he gets home from school today, Alex will deal with getting them in the ground. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about having stuff growing in the yard, like having food grow in your yard. Does anything get better than that? I'm not sure. Another thing I was thinking of is, because I saw grapefruit trees, I mean there's like a ton of varieties of fruit trees, and I thought, well, what do we actually eat? So I wanted to start kind of small, even though I bought like, what, 6 trees there. I wanted to start kind of small. I saw grapefruit and I was like, well, Alex likes it, but I don't know. And my dad has a grapefruit tree and it just produces so much. So I'll see how these go. And if they do well, then maybe I'll branch out. Hey, branch out, see what I did there? And do more. Also, can we get a moment for this dress? But since we're in the kitchen, okay, I will start getting the seeds. So if you don't want to shell out a bunch of money for fruit trees, like grafted ones or ones that are already, you know, yay high, you can obviously produce them from seed. Super simple. I've done it before. They have to be local, and also like there's rules to everything that you have to learn. Research everything, and like avocados, you need at least 2 of them to produce fruit for the long term, and avocados take like 10 years to grow fruit from seed if it's not grafted. And then mango, I don't know the rule for that. I always do more than one. I found these in the back of my fridge. So I feel like on the inside, the seed may have already started to root. You know what I mean? Because this is what happens in nature. The fruit falls off the tree, it starts to rot, and then it falls into the ground and just grows. And that's the thing with avocados too. People are like, oh, put in toothpicks and then put in a jar of water halfway through. No, I literally put them in the ground. I throw them in the ground in a pile of dirt. I don't like cover it and bury it and get topsoil. No, I literally, in the ground. And then a little bit later, you're gonna start to see a sprout. And that's the only way it works for me. Mango, I do a little bit differently. So I'll show you how to get the seed out. So I've cut both the sides off the mango because the seed is in the middle here. And then what I do is like, I'm just really trying to get to this seedy part. Gotta get all the meat off of it. It might get a little messy, but that's what it's all about. So this is the seed, and there's one part where I think I can see it on this side, where you can kind of crack it open, and it's like the shell in here. You have to be kind of careful, so just crack it open in the middle, and then here we are. Check this. And I can kind of see like it's starting to root here, but this is the seed. So what I'm going to do is wrap it in a damp paper towel, and then I just let it sit in a plastic bag to kind of emulate nature, where it's like buried in soil and growing. So it'll start to root, and then in a couple of weeks we can bury it in the ground. And you'll be surprised at how fast these grow because the seeds are so large, the plant actually grows pretty fast. So I'm gonna do 2 of them.
So technically, you should soak the seed in a cup for 24 hours and then moisten a paper towel and place the seed and paper towel inside of a baggie and keep it in a warm place, and then monitor the sprouts every few days and then plant it when it begins to sprout. But I've had success skipping the whole soaking it in 24 hours. Maybe that's more beneficial. Maybe that gives it more of like that nature feel that, you know, these seeds are wanting, because when it's out in nature, it obviously is going to fall on the ground and then be wet from rain and stuff and then bury itself. I don't know. You do what you want. I'm just saying it works just as well. Nature is pretty amazing, so you can't really screw it up.
And then obviously
the best way to get an avocado seed is to just cut around it and then just pop it right out. Just like that, rinse it off. So I'm actually reading on Google and it says the fastest way to grow an avocado seed is do the same thing that we did with the mango seed and just put it in a damp paper towel and throw it in a plastic baggie and put it in a warm spot and check for germination. Next, I headed to Costco to stock up on my bulk food storage. I did some damage. Well, I'm gonna start the haul here because I could probably get it up now. It's full of everything. Yeah, okay, I can move it now, but whatever. It's useless. You guys, the package ripped. Wentworth was trying to be a gentleman and help me in, and anyway, things happen. This is sugar. How much? 50 pounds he was trying to lift? What a wild man. 50 pounds of granulated sugar, so that'll go in one of those like storage buckets that we have. This is the rest of the haul. It kind of looks unsuspecting, but the amount of money that I spent, I mean, this is stuff that will hold us over for a very, very long time. So I'll start over here with the butter. It's like $100 worth of butter. Listen, it was a while ago. I even told you guys about it, where I was watching this like woman share with us her stockpile. I mean, her medicine cabinet, her, what is it called? Cosmetics, like shampoo, conditioner, stuff like that. And also first aid, like all kinds of stuff. And then she showed us the food and her pantry. Oh, and then her basement. Oh, and then her, you know, basement fridge. Oh, and then she had a second fridge in her second kitchen. It was crazy. But anyway, she showed us one of her fridges, literally so much butter, more than I could ever imagine. I'm like, what? I know you can keep it in the freezer for a very long time. Fridge, I don't know. We do go through a decent amount of butter. And so I just figured, well, if she stocks up like that, surely, I mean, this doesn't even hold a candle to what she had. But anyway, I got 8 of these. And by 8, I mean 8 packs of 4. So you do the math there. 8 times 4 is 32. That's what it is. So happy about that. I also grabbed some chicken breast in a can. Always good to have a protein in a can. And we use it anyway. The rule of thumb is like, don't buy stuff unless you actually eat through it. Otherwise, it's kind of useless, you know? So chicken breast, not the best thing in a can, but it's also not the worst if you have nothing else, you know what I mean? And I use it a lot for chicken dip. So, and then of course, any recipe that calls for chicken, you can use it out of the can. I also grabbed some maple syrup. This is just nice to have on hand. I don't think this ever expires. Actually, I was trying to look at expiration dates as I was shopping, and I think, yeah, 2025. Some of the things were much smaller dates than I expected. So like the can of chicken bouillon, like Better Than Bouillon, whatever, it expires in 2 years. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to use that in 2 years. It was like huge, and I have my small one from like 4 years ago that I still haven't gone through. So maple syrup is always great to have, and of course we use it sweetener and, you know, just on pancakes and stuff. So speaking of sweetener, I don't think this goes bad, even though it does have a sell-by date. I don't care about that. 2025, honey doesn't go bad. Honey doesn't expire. Maybe this does because it's like not actual honey. What is in here? Honey, that's the only ingredient. All right, it doesn't go bad. So I figured I'd stock up on that too. Also, I use it in a ton of stuff, so it never hurts to have extra on backflow. And then of course the things that we don't think about, right? When we need it or when you don't have it and you're like, oh dang, I wish. So extra virgin olive oil or any type of oil. I have an overflow of vegetable oil, so I didn't think I needed to buy any of that because I don't use that as much as I use this. So I bought a couple of these. Just this will be like great, you know, to have on back stock. And then of course, when you're cooking, you don't think to have this kind of stuff, you know, in your pantry, staple, storage, back supply, whatever you want to call it. Hopefully I figured out what it's actually called. So salt and pepper, spices. You don't want to eat bland food. So salt and pepper, always basics. But then I also have a lifetime supply of Italian seasoning. And then I've got a ton of cinnamon and stuff like that. So I felt like this is all that I needed to buy. And then of course, coconut milk. So we drink almond milk. That's our main source. And when I say we, I mean some of the people in the house, not even all. I don't drink it. I'll use it to cook with or whatever. But this, I love cooking with coconut milk, cook with it all the time. So I figured having these cans on hand wouldn't hurt. I don't have any, I might have some almond milk, but I never reach for it from the pantry. So I figured, you know what? that's something we can definitely live without. That's a luxury. So speaking of proteins, ooh, the chicken. Ooh, did you see that? I think it was actually ground beef. Protein, I got some beans. I know a lot of people stock up on dried beans. I'm not at that stage yet. I love stuff in the can. Whenever I cook from dry, beans or even lentils, well, I'll do dry lentils. Well, I don't even cook with lentils that much. That's why I didn't get them. But definitely beans. I don't know, something about dried beans. I can't get the right texture when I bring them back to life, you know? So I like the canned beans, and it's a decent price at Costco. I think it's like 72 cents per can. And you know, at a normal grocery store these days, I'm lucky to get one can for 99 cents. Over here, another protein, peanut butter. I have a little bit of on back supply. I think just one jar. And we do go through this. I use it in energy balls. I use it a lot for that. And then also just making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches because I got my sourdough. So we're gonna, you know, we'll be fine. Even just eating it as the spoonful. And I do Jif. I don't care. Yes, I can make my own with peanuts. I've done that before. Yes, I can buy Kirkland organic with like literally peanuts and salt. Those should be the only ingredients. But Jif, there's something about it. It's just amazing and delicious. That's why it has those extra ingredients like sugar. Thank you so much, okay? And then I got ketchup because one of my children would slather this all over their body and eat it. And that's how they live their life. So gotta please the masses. And then nuts. I decided to stock up on some nuts. I just recently got some pecans. I'm also gonna make some stuff with pecans, like pecan pie for the holidays. I'm probably gonna make enough to pass out to people. I don't know, I haven't decided yet because pecans are a pretty penny, but it's always nice. And I stick these in the freezer so they last a really long time. And almonds, walnuts, same thing. It's a great protein, great omega, it's healthy. It's beneficial. It's been proven those who live, what do they call it? The blue, something about blue century something. Those centennials, whoever lives over 100, it's like their diet includes nuts. So it's always a good thing to have. And then I thought as a luxury, I'd get some bacon. First of all, it was on sale. Second of all, always nice to have in the freezer. And it was a decent price. So I got 2 hunk of chunks in each one and I got 4 altogether. So like 2 packages of each. And I don't know, I just thought, well, we'll do that, you know? No one ever said no to bacon. And then I got the basics. You know I can't live without soft and chewy granola bars. I mean, I could, but could my family? No. I mean, of course they will. And I can also make this from scratch, I'm well aware, but it's a convenience item and we eat through it often and I rarely make it from scratch. So there's that. If I had to, I would, and I know how to do it. Hence the honey, and I have chocolate chips. I looked for the large bag of Kirkland chocolate chips just to have another one because I just bought one. And obviously we haven't eaten through it, but it's nice to have one on back supply. I don't know what to call that. What are we calling this? And then of course I can't live without my Ghirardelli brownie mix. Yes, I know I can make brownie mix from scratch. Maybe I'll get there eventually, but right now for convenience, that's what we do. And Brownie Friday, it'll last us at least 6 weeks right there. Sometimes I do make it from scratch and I use different recipes, whatever. Okay, this is the bread and butter. I was so glad. I felt like I hit the jackpot when I got to Costco and found out each package was $5 off. The biggest screaming deal I've ever had. So I would have stocked up and bought this much anyway had I known about the sale. So I was happy to see that. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 packages of them, and each package has 6 containers. Most of the time I use 2 to feed our family, and then we have leftovers for lunch the next day, or leftovers for a leftover day, or yo-yo, whatever. You're on your own night. So that's how we do it. Could I make it pass with 1? I don't know. Could I make it stretch if I had to? Of course I could. So this will last us a really long time. And yes, I got a million comments. Wow, you must like chicken. Wow, you making chicken tonight? Wow, what are you doing with all that chicken? Also, can I just say, I don't know if I already told you, but when I was checking out, the lady was like, oh, stocking up, you know, making conversation. And I said, no, just my weekly grocery haul. She was like, oh. I was like, I'm kidding. Oh, that's funny. Good thing that glass didn't break. When the ground beef fell to the floor, I will portion this out, but I got 4 packages of the ground beef, and there is about 7 pounds in each container. So this will last us quite a long time too. I normally portion it out 4 bags for each one. So 4, 8, 12, 16. I'll get 16 baggies out of it. It's almost 2 pounds, maybe like between 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds, like 1.11-ish pounds is what I normally get per baggie. And that is enough to feed our family because I always, you know, add a vegetable and a starch. And then over here, I stocked up on flour. So I have a ton of flour, and this is just enriched bleached flour. Yes, I know, not the best, but listen, when you need flour, this was half the price. Less than half the price, about half the price. I'll skip over the rice of this. I almost got all of this, but my gosh, was it pricey. Okay, so this was like 0.9 cents per ounce, and that was 0.4. Woo! So that's why I stocked up on that. And also I already have some of that on back stock, so it's fine. And then I got the bleach flour. This is mostly for my sourdough. And honestly, this was a great price for as much as I was getting, because I recently got a package that was like half the size of this one, and it was as much as like this whole thing. So I'm exaggerating, but that's how I feel. And then of course, jasmine rice. This is like a year supply, maybe more. It's 50 pounds of rice. And we do go through rice a lot. We eat a lot of meals with rice, with like protein, rice, and then a vegetable. And that's just how we're living our life. We're living our best life, Thailand's best rice. And then over here, I did grab some brown sugar. And by some, I mean a lot. And I love the price of brown sugar at Costco, because my normal grocery store sells, I think, a 2-pound bag for as much as this cost, this whole 7.5 pound bag. So I got 2 of those, and then I'll put them into a bin. And then this has nothing to do with it, but I did grab these. I was happy to see them, and I wanted to buy them before they sell out or whatever. I got the gingerbread decorating kits, and this is for Christmas. My kids love them. There are 3 gingerbread in each one, and they're huge, and they're just so fun and festive. So I grabbed 12 altogether, because not only my kids, we also have a whole Christmas Eve thing with like nieces and nephews. So for bulk food storage, I have some of these containers, which everyone's like, oh, they're so cheap and affordable. I don't know. In my realm of thinking, I was like, these are kind of pricey. So it is an investment, but it's nice to have this stuff on backstock. It's nice to not have to run to the store every time I'm like, oh crap, I'm out of XYZ. What we store in it is rice, flour, oats, and sugar. I have 4. They came in a set of 3, so I actually have 6 of them. But Alex uses 2, and in my head, I thought I would have enough to store all of this stuff that I got, but I don't think that's the case. So this lid is the big deal. I bought these off Amazon, but you can go to like Lowe's and Home Depot. I think they sell them too. The whole thing is like this. You need to make sure it has this seal to keep the bugs out. It's a gamma seal. It's airtight, it's leak resistant, it's pest proof, and it's easy open. Easy open, but not easy to get on. I'm gonna say that. I use my entire body weight. This is rice, so I'm gonna grab the rice. If you're wondering like how much this will hold, that's a good question. I don't really know how big this is. I'm sure they sell them bigger or smaller. I've emptied a few bags of rice in here. This is a 25-pound bag of jasmine rice, and I already had some in there, which I know I should have like put the old stuff in, but we're gonna use it. It's not a big deal. And there's still room to groove up top, so that's nice. I know for some people this is like a lifetime supply of rice, but we eat rice very often, and oh my gosh, leads me to I'm excited to plant the potatoes, okay, in my mind. We're gonna cross our fingers for that one too. So right now, I just wanna focus on storing things. This is flour. It looks like ants got into this one. That's what happens too. Things happen. We obviously have kids, and I'm like, hey, will you give me some flour? Oh, hey, will you put this back? Sometimes it doesn't get sealed correctly. So there are, I don't even know what this is. I don't know if they're ants. It's definitely some kind of ant. So luckily there's hardly anything left in here. I'm just gonna throw it out, wipe it down, clean it, and then good. It'll hold at least that whole thing of flour. I don't know if you wanna actually see what's happening in here, but I did shake it up a little bit, but you can see. That's not flour. Those little dots are moving. Definitely some kind of bug. I'm sure you know more than I do. I'm just, you know, starting this thing. Life's a dance, you learn as you go. Woo! Flower shower. All right, now we'll really get a good estimate of how much this holds. This is a
Also a 25-pound bag of flour. You can call me Flour if you want to. Lift with your legs. It should hold the whole bag. If it doesn't, I quit. Yep, that's about all it holds, 25 pounds. Easy open, easy close. All right, it's a little heavier than before. Cool, cool, cool. Now, as for my meat storage, you guys saw I bulked up on the meat. I'm so glad that I did that. I know a lot of people buy like a whole cow, half a cow, quarter cow. I don't know how it works. I don't know. Where do you find someone to do that with? My family who lives up north, they live in like an Amish town, and that's what they have always done. They actually used to have like peacocks and goats too. So they are inspiration for me. They always have been. I mean, who doesn't want to have a peacock? Who doesn't want to drink goat's milk? Like, that's the first time I had goat's milk. They were like, drink this, it's goat milk. And I was like, this is weird. My husband's family on his mom's side, the first time I met them, she had meat in a crock pot. And she was like, taste this, it's cow tongue. I was like, this is crazy, but very cool. Like, they have a ton of land, they have all kinds of animals too, so they're giving us really great advice when we were getting the chickens and stuff, which is lovely. And a part of me is like, is everyone else doing this and I am like last to arrive? I don't know, I feel like I've had so much going on. So you know what I always say, you do what you can, when you can, and this is me beginning the process. But anyway, how can I find someone to buy half a cow? I guess I could call, you know what? I'm sure we know someone. So that'll be next on my to-do list. For now, I got it from Costco, and their prices are raising. They just raised the price of ground beef. It used to be $3.99, now it's $4.19, which doesn't seem like a whole lot. Oh, that's per pound. And that's like the cheapest I find it anywhere. I wonder how much it is when you buy it from a cow. So I'm gonna have to do the math. I assume it would be cheaper because you're buying so much of it. And then you have to think of like the price of having a full freezer. Well, we have that anyway, so I digress. What I did to store it from Costco is obviously I'm keeping it in the freezer, and I've been enjoying using the freezer inside. So that's all the meat that I got. I portioned it out into baggies. I don't think I filmed this part, maybe I did, but I portioned it out into 1.11 pounds. And that seemed to get me, yield me the most amount of bags. So one bag will feed our whole family, and then chicken, depending on what I'm making, either 1 or 2 packages will feed our whole family. But this is full of chicken, and then we have in our other freezer, by the way, this is a drawer, it doesn't go all the way down, so it's yay deep, just so you were wondering. Our other freezer out here is facilitating, I have these containers. Are they specifically freezer proof? I don't know. I got them from Amazon years ago. I used to use them in my deep freezer, not my deep freezer, my freezer in our other house, but I just don't use, well, do I have them? I don't know. Did I buy more? All I know is, did I get these even from Amazon? Now I'm second guessing my whole life, but I feel like I got these from Home Goods. That's what happened. I did get some from Amazon. I think they're a better price at Home Goods. Is it weird that in the beginning of this video, I'm holding a chicken, and now I'm holding a different kind of chicken? Got these bins from Home Goods. They're not even like for the freezer, but they've been holding up really well. I've had them for at least a couple of years here. And so I packed these puppies real good with all the chicken. So that's full of chicken. This is full of like the breakfast omelet things, and then more chicken here. And then all the butter I put on the side of the fridge here. I do have more meat down here, so that's like pork. And behind this is another, well, mozzarella sticks. I mean, that's a must. That looks like more pork. I do a lot of pork loins, but anyway, I have found, I shoved these full, which is fantastic. So when we first moved here, you guys, I don't know what I was thinking. You know what I was thinking? Oh, I'm not gonna be pregnant right away. Nope, was pregnant right away after the holidays, and then I was miserable. But I did have plans, big plans, okay? And I bought garden boxes. I don't know where they are, even probably in the garage. I'm not gonna start a garden today. Don't you worry your little mind. But one of the other things that I bought and stored in this closet are potato sacks. And I figured this is something nice, simple, easy, pretty easy. I think it's pretty easy. I don't know, that's what everyone on the internet wants to tell me anyway. So I'm going to start growing my own potatoes. I feel like that's a good starch. Everyone loves potatoes. all kinds of varieties. There are so many ways that you can make potatoes. I mean, people can survive off of potatoes and eggs, right? So I bought some potatoes from the store the other day. That's all you need to make potatoes. Let's do it. Actually, you need potatoes, some sacks, and soil. Pretty sure that's it. Let's do it. Now, if you're growing sweet potatoes, I feel like that's a little bit of a different process where you have to like get roots from the potatoes and wait until they're rooting. Whereas russet potatoes like this, from my research anyway, I'm sure everyone's gonna tell me I'm doing it wrong, you can just cut it. These potato sacks have something really cool at the bottom where you can lift it up, and that's where you can grab your potatoes from once they start growing. Though you can use like an actual potato sack, a bag like that, or any kind of bag. I don't know. Let's do this. This is just some all natural in-ground soil. Oh boy, this is comedic. Let's see if we can get it in. All right, cool. A little bit on the bottom. Oopsies. So I have filled it up. I don't know. Should I do more than this? I'm gonna have the kids do the rest of the bags when they get home. I think they're gonna have fun with it. I mean, obviously I'll do it with them, but I'm just gonna show you how I'm doing it. I should probably fill it above the line here. All right, so I'm probably gonna need some more bags of soil, but I grew it to the line where you can like peek inside of it, which is just this much. And then I'm just gonna cut the potato like so, and I'm gonna plant them in the soil this way, and the roots grow up from the potato, and apparently we're gonna have potatoes soon. Don't ask me questions, it's nature. And they do need space to groove, so I'm probably going to put 4 in here. Am I doing this wrong? Maybe, but you live and you learn, am I right? So once I have it like that, I'm gonna add some more soil to the top, just a couple inches, spread it out. I'll water it, and I'll leave it. I'm gonna forget that I even have this. I'll water it every once in a while, but apparently I'm gonna have potatoes coming out my ears in just a few months.
So I figured I'd throw in this second sourdough bread recipe, and it's actually bread. I know before we made bagels. I have made this bread a couple of times, just a couple of times. I'm by no means a pro. This is what I'm talking about. I'm a beginner. We're doing this together. We're starting from scratch here. Speaking of scratch, I'm making this bread, sourdough bread. If I can do it, man, you can definitely do it. So the recipe calls for, super simple, by the way, I Googled it, 1/2 cup of sourdough starter, 1 cup of water, 2 cups of flour. Obviously, you can use a kitchen scale and do it by grams. Is that how they measure it? Grams, ounces? I'm pretty sure it's grams. And then I'm just feeding my sourdough starter while it's out. I'm using the discard to make these things. Woo! And so listen, there's like so many rules when it comes to sourdough starter. They were like, mix with a wooden spoon. Just why? I don't understand. I can mix with a spatula, whatever. So for me, for now, I'm using what I have, and that seems to be working out good enough. So for the bread, you want to let it rest. I mixed all these things together, 3 ingredients, mixed it together, let it rest for 30 minutes, and then I do this folding technique, and you basically just fold the dough onto itself. I spin the bowl around 4 times, each time just folding the dough on top of itself. And then I'm covering it back up with a damp paper towel, letting it sit for another 30 minutes. And I do this process, I think 3 to 4 times. I think this morning I did it 3 times, and then I had other things to do. So I threw it in the oven. The oven was off. Some people say to throw the light on the oven on. I don't understand that. Does the sourdough need a night light? I don't know. It's pretty warm in there, so I feel like that's good enough. And I let it rise for about 6 plus hours. And some people say at this point you can throw it in the fridge overnight, but I normally start mine in the morning, so the fridge just hasn't been an option for me. Wouldn't make sense, but you know, as you can see that I'm going through this process, you can see the gluten in the dough developing, and it's just, such a beautiful thing to see. And making this bread, it is a labor of love. Let me tell you that. It doesn't take all day, but it does take bits and pieces of your day. Like you need to be there to kind of babysit it. Not a lot, but enough and even if you do forget about it, because I certainly have at times, it's not a big deal. Like it'll wait for you. It's not very fussy, which I like. So What am I doing now? Oh, okay. So I let the bread rise for about 6 hours, 6 to 8 hours. I can't remember. I'm turning it out onto a floured surface, and I'm doing this just because, one, I think it's fun, two, to show you how elastic everything is and how nice. And I mean, I've seen people do this and I don't really know why, but it looked fun, so I showed it to you. Okay, so now I'm making the loaf. I'm forming the loaf, and I'm just grabbing each side and pulling it onto itself, kind of like a really big dinner roll. And then I'm gonna flop it over and, you know, build the bread, if you will, kind of make the mound a little nicer. And I found this guy, he's a cook on YouTube. I'm sure you've heard of him. I actually forgot his YouTube name. Let me look it up. It's Preppy Kitchen, and man, oh man, he just breaks down everything. He's nice and simple, breaks down all the instructions. So that's the process that I'm following right now, and I'm probably his recipe. I don't know. Oh, one thing I didn't add, I did add, but I may have cut the clip or something. Salt. Don't forget to salt the dough. It's like, I don't know, a couple teaspoons of salt. It's actually a lot of salt, but it's not a salty bread. It just adds flavor. So, and then I take a bowl and a tea towel, paper, whatever that is, a kitchen towel, and I flour it really well. And then the pretty side of the bread is down, and I'm covering that with a damp paper towel. And then you have to let that rise for, I don't know, another hour or two. And I think you're supposed to put it in the fridge. You could put it in the fridge to rise and then let it sit at room temperature. I don't really know. I don't let it go in the fridge at all because I don't care at this point. I'm just doing my best, and, you know, it's low key. So I do preheat the oven, 500 degrees. I'm scoring the bread. I'm horrible at this step, mostly because I don't have a thing to score it, but I'll live. I'm just using a bread knife. 500 degrees, you want to put your Dutch oven, if you're using a Dutch oven, in the oven and leave it in there for an hour. So it's scorching hot. And then I use parchment paper to throw the bread into said Dutch oven. And then I cook it for about 20, 25 minutes. And then I take the lid off and throw it back in the oven for about 10 minutes. This time around, I let it cook for a little too long. I mean, that looks beautiful, but you'll see in a second, I did let it cook for a little too long because, you know, I'm just distracted. I got a bunch of kids running around over here. People make homesteading look so easy. So there are a couple extra minutes than what I intended to, sure, but it still looks great. And on the inside, it is absolute perfection. Sourdough. It, you know, is it the best dough I've ever had? The best bread? Yes, absolutely. And I made it. It tastes really great. It's got a nice texture to it. It's got a nice crunch on the outside, really fluffy on the inside. And it is perfect. We butter it up, jam it up. All the things, eat it plain. I don't care. It's going to be good. And that's what my starter looks like after 12 hours of eating. Well, that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching and hanging out with me while I start my homestead. I mean, keep following along and you'll see whether it goes well or not. Like, will the trees die or will they flourish and provide fruit? Time will tell, along with the chickens. Anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out. If you want to subscribe, put a little happy in your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.